All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Terence Crawford, this is Errol Spence and claims that he don't need him and that fight may never happen. This is per an article with Ring Magazine, but since it's Ring Magazine, you gotta read to the end of the article to see why they wrote it. But let's talk about what Terence Crawford had to say about Errol Spence and what Ring Magazine had to say about it in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Oscar De La Hoya's magazine, which used to be one of the most respected magazines in boxing, Ring Magazine, but which most definitely is not now because of the, somewhat super duper suspect journalistic integrity of that organization. Like the fact that they're owned by a promoter and they have top 10 lists that pub that promoter's fighters and winds up never having fighters that are represented by people that Oscar De La Hoya doesn't like. But that aside, let's just pretend like Ring Magazine is something to be taken seriously. They report that Errol Spence Jr. that Terence Crawford says that he thinks that the fight with Errol Spence Jr. may never happen. Now, he said, if you read the article closely enough, it's written in a way to get Terence Crawford to say that. And then what do they do afterwards? After saying this big fight between Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. will never take place, you might as well just get it out of your mind because of all these different reasons why it can't happen. Terence Crawford doesn't need him. See, Terence Crawford said he don't need him, right? Because he's already going to the Hall of Fame without him. But let's talk about this great fighter from the United Kingdom named Josh Taylor and how he wants these fights, because that's what they did in the article. They put Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr.'s name at the top so you will read it. They take a dump on the Errol Spence Jr. fight with Terence Crawford, and then they proceed to promote who they really want to promote, which is Josh Taylor. And I invite you to go read their article because that is exactly what they do. They think that they are slick. They attract you with this fight may never happen. And why would they be important to say that this fight may never happen? Why pour water on that fight? Because Terence Crawford may very well wind up going over there to PBC because he said he is open to do it. So people are excited about the prospect of that fight could be taking place. So, of course, Ring Magazine, who works for Oscar De La Hoya, who just lost Canelo Alvarez, right? And who's over there at DAZN, want to, and I'm quite sure, just because of that's the integrity of that writer, and that's what that writer was thinking about in the morning when they woke up. They just decided to take a dump on the fight and then shift on to Josh Taylor. But see, that, my friend, is where I say you need to look at those circumstances, recognize them for what they are, and then see if you can apply that circumstance to something else, because they're going to do it to you. That is what happened in microcosm, what they were doing to Terence Crawford in the macrocosm. They just dismissed him and the possibility that he could get a fight with Errol Spence Jr., even that he wants to have it, and then move to use him as a way, in his name, as a way to promote the fighter that they really want to promote, which is Josh Taylor. And you see it all the time. All the time. And guess what else you'll see very soon? You will see articles with Josh Taylor calling out Terence Crawford. I want the Terence Crawford fight. I want the Terence Crawford fight. I think I can beat Terence Crawford now. I think I can beat Terence Crawford now. And they're going to build Josh Taylor on the back of Terence Crawford as a potential matchup with the two, a fight that they may never think is going to actually happen, but they are going to use the name of Terence Crawford to build Josh Taylor, because Josh Taylor is going to be going to 147 pounds. He's too big for 147 as it is. You can look at the way that the guy looks in the ring. He's an emaciated 154 pounder. That's what he is. If you saw him fight anybody other than Postal, which, by the way, was his absolutely least spectacular fight, the Postal one, he had a problem that was somebody that was the same height as him. As soon as he fought somebody that was the same height, started having problems. And when he moves to 147, guess what? He's going to get murdered at 147, maxed at 147 pounds. He's going to get maxed at 147 pounds. He's not going to fight Errol Spence. He's not fighting Danny Garcia. He's not going to fight these guys. They're going to be the one. They're hoping for that 147 get together of in-house fights at Top Rank between Josh Taylor, Teofimo Lopez, because that's how they do. They do in-house stuff. So who's going to be moving up there? Well, you got Teofimo Lopez, who all of a sudden says he's too big a star for everybody at 135. Like, literally said this. I'm the king of 135. What do they bring to the table? Dude, Gervonta Davis don't care about you, man. He don't need you. Dude, Gervonta Davis is the cash cow at 135 pounds, and it ain't even close. But yet there's something that Teofimo Lopez, that he needs to prove to Teofimo Lopez. No, it's called in-house fights. It's called in-house fights. And Top Rank specializes in in-house fights. They make more money on in-house fights than they do make between them. Now, as far as Terence Crawford goes, that's why I'm telling you, watch this Brook fight. Watch the Brook fight. Watch the Brook fight carefully. Now, I think he's going to win this fight because I think he's a better fighter than Kell Brook. But Kell Brook is good enough to go 12 rounds and to make some of those rounds close. And then we will see if Bob Arum has something up his sleeve for Terence Crawford or not. Because you can't tell me that these people don't have stuff up their sleeves. It's called matchmaking. It's called matchmaking. And I can't see a better little move to Josh Taylor than this. Have Terence Crawford get beat by Kell Brook, and then have Kell Brook, because we know we don't believe in rematch clauses, right? And then have Kell Brook rematch, not give him a rematch, and have him fight Josh Taylor for the WBO 147-pound belt. And you tell me that is not something Bob Arum would do. Tell me. See, I laughed. See that kitty laugh? Because that's the ha, ha, ha. I know he would. Because that's what I would do if I had any way to control that. How can I make the most money here? Hey, how can I make the most money here? Well, what you can do is you can get Terence Crawford beat by Kell Brook, but you got a 2-fight option on him. You don't give him a rematch, and you have Kell Brook and Josh Taylor fighting the UK. Because now you got that UK fight, you got a UK 147-pounder. And then what will we do after that? Then we will spend all day, we'll spend all years and years and years talking about how the PBC fighters won't fight Josh Taylor. Dude, and you'll have Jose Ramirez and Teofimo Lopez at 147 pounds. Dude, if you don't think these guys plan this stuff out like this, you are not watching boxing. You are not watching. This is exactly how these guys try to build these fights, dude. Go back and look at the lawsuit that took place between the WBO and Austin Trout, and how Austin Trout just magically disappeared from the rankings one day, and Liam Smith just magically wound up there, and just in the time for him to be there was just enough time to make and it was totally coincidental, I'm sure, but it was just enough time, just perfect timing for this accident to take place for Liam Smith to get a fight with Canelo and not Austin Trout. A rematch, because that would have been a rematch and not the Austin Trout rematch. But no, I'm sure this is all above board. This is all my imagination. I'm sure that Bob Arum doesn't think that a fight between Kell Brook and Josh Taylor in the UK after this pandemic is over wouldn't sell more than anything he's getting with Terence Crawford over here, because he refuses to sell him. And the only thing that he can do really to get big money with Terence Crawford is to have him fight somebody at the PBC, which means he's got to split the money. No, it's not a good look, dude. And you think, how do you get this from the Ring Magazine? Because Ring Magazine works for the promoters. And if you read them, they're just telling you what it is the promoters want to do. You don't read Ring Magazine or ESPN for them giving you enriching boxing information. You don't do that. That's what you come here for. That's what you go to other new media channels for, LDBC channels for. That's why you go. That's why you come here, where you can get what people really think and they go through the problem and say, yeah, this is what I see. This is what this is how I think it's going to turn out. That is not what you get out of the media. Out of that, what you get from them is what the promoter or the network wants you to think. And you have to distinguish between the two. And I'm telling you right now that it is my belief that that Bob Arum is going to try to get Terence Crawford beat, just like he got Lomachenko beat last month. I expect him to try to do the same thing to Terence Crawford and then to have Kell Brook have a belt and then miraculously work out a fight between Kell Brook and Josh Taylor and cut out Eddie Hearn because he cut out Eddie Hearn, didn't he? I'm pretty sure Kell Brook cut out Eddie Hearn. So it's clean because Eddie Hearn already got cut out, right? So now it's just Bob Arum, right? Bob Arum, Josh Taylor. I think Josh Taylor's just signed with Top Rank. I don't even think he's signed with Barry McGuigan anymore, the McGuigans, right? So it's just two free and clear UK fighters signed to Top Rank. And you think he's going to let Terence Crawford keep holding that belt? We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Conspiracy theory. You're right. It is a conspiracy theory. And let's see if I'm right or if I'm wrong. But eventually, it's going to happen. If it ain't Kell Brook fight, it'll be another fight. And with that, I'm out. Oh, and this is his third. This will be his second UK fighter he's trying to fight. I'm telling you that works. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.